the Muskegon Channel. It's Andy O'Reilly, and I am back down at Central Dispatch with Sean Grabinski, and we've got Chief Squires as well as Chief Dean here. Chief Squires is from up in Whitehall, and Chief Dean is over in Muskegon Heights. He's the man right there.
I don't know about all that.
I know his workout partner, his accountability partner. She made me say that. Anyway, it's time to talk again about this. I mean, this is essential. We're talking about this. It's a request for funding. It's a request for a 911. Nobody is excited about the idea that we have to pay something to get this thing done. It failed in the last election. Here we are again. This is important, and that's why we're back talking. Sean, catch us up to where we are on the 911 surcharge.
Absolutely. We're back again asking for the funding that we need. It's because we need it. You know, we have radios that are no longer repairable or serviceable. That ended December 31st.
Right.
And so it's not going to get any better, and we need to have the funding to replace the communication network that we have in our community. It's for our public safety responders. They got to be able to talk to dispatch. We need to get the information out to them.
And this is the whole county. This affects Whitehall. It affects the Heights. It affects everybody. Chris, talk a little bit about, on a day-to-day basis, what this means to you guys and your department and everything else.
One of the most important things we have is the ability to communicate in an emergency.
Sure.
And every day, if you listen to the radio, there's instances where dispatchers can't hear firefighters, dispatchers can't hear police officers, and they have to repeat themselves.
Right.
And when they have to repeat themselves, it takes away from that split second that could mean the difference between life and death.
Sure.
If I have firefighters in a, say, Columbia court, and they're on the 6th floor and they're in room 611, and dispatch can't tell what room number they're in, and there's a fire and someone's trapped, how do they get more resources? If they have to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it because the communications network isn't allowing them to communicate effectively. And this is the thing that's happened over time, and we've been struggling with it and dealing with it, and it's come to a critical point. And I've seen my staff experience it, I've seen other agency staff experience it, and it impacts the service that police officers and firefighters can provide to the community in those critical moments. There's a audio clip on the Muskegon Central Dispatch Facebook page of a Fruitport police officer requesting assistance at an accident scene.
Yep.
And he's trying to relay critical information through a dispatcher so that medical resources can get there to help this citizen.
Yep.
This everyday person who's just going down the road who had a medical incident that ended up in an accident, and the dispatcher can't understand what's going on. And that video that's on the Central Dispatch Facebook page highlights one example of the ongoing problem that the upgrades in communication system, which is part of a comprehensive package of services, that can be remedied with this additional funding.
I'll tell you what, I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm going to pull that video down and we're going to put it in here, and I want people to take a quick listen to what this sounds like when you're dealing with an emergency. And again, this is just a medical call, and it just happened to be somebody else. Now imagine if this was made a call in a situation where there's a problem at a school, or a problem at a church, or a problem at a sporting event or something like that. Take a listen to the quality of this call right here.
224, go ahead. We're constantly a city fast call prior to the crash. I'm going to need medical to come give an assessment. 2224, copy to alert, conscious and breathing. What was it that you needed permit for? Medical assessment, conscious check blood sugar. See there's a reason for this. 2224, you're extremely heavy static, advising chest pain. Negative. It's these awesome radios. The subject lost consciousness prior to the crash. No history of diabetes. Unknown reason for blacking out. 10-4 unconscious, now conscious. 1631.
Whether it's an officer calling for additional units or a fireman calling out for Mayday because he's trapped in a building, we need to be able to understand what's being requested of us in order to send all of the help and the resources that's necessary to assist our first responders. If that static is there, it's not an option.
Kind of staticky, kind of scratchy, and as you mentioned, Chris, it's one of these deals where this could be a life or death situation.
Yes. Definitely unclear what the officer was trying to get through, And understand that when you listen to it at home on your television or on your computer, it sounds a little bit clearer because you have nothing else going on. You don't have other radios. You don't have it's cleaned up when you hear it at home in your quiet living room.
Right.
When there's not other dispatchers trying to send out other emergency units to help. When there's not phones that are ringing with other emergencies coming in, and you can hear in that clip, it's palpable. The frustration in that officer where he's trying to help the citizen.
Right.
He's trying to help a everyday person and he can't get what they need. And this is what one of the gaps that we're trying to bridge here with this.
Chief Squires, you talked a little bit when we did these before about the mutual aid that goes on between different departments in the county and outside of the county.
Yes.
And this upgrade is required for us to be able to radio other counties. We're going to be on an island with no ability to communicate with anybody else if we can't get this done.
That's true, and we are surrounded, completely surrounded, being singled out as the only county not utilizing the state 800 megahertz trunking system. And so it's important for us because we do deal with assistance. I'm up in the north, and very common for us to be working with Oceana or calling for assistance, or most often trading prisoners.
Sure.
But I think really, to me, the more critical piece is that we have one channel for police emergencies, we have one channel for fire emergencies, and they don't talk across one another. And I could be a block away from a firefighter and unable to talk to him on a radio, so that we can work together to mitigate this scene,
right,
or control traffic, whatever it might be. It's really, I think that's a bigger issue. As much as I like to be able to communicate otherwise to Oceana, it's more important to me to be able to communicate within our own county.
Sure. Now, when this failed at the last election, everybody was kind of let down, and it was kind of like a big slug in the gut and all that. What has changed in the language and the action plan of this now that we're bringing it back up in May, that people need to take another look at this and realize this is essential? What's changed?
What we've changed, we changed the ballot language so it's a 13-year term.
Okay.
So that's not an open-ended request. It's good. What we're requesting for is an up to amount of $275, which is required to be evaluated annually. Our educational campaign is a little bit stronger. I think it's a lot stronger this time around. We have taken the information that we've heard from social media, from our citizens, to help educate them a little bit more. I'll give you an example. We heard from a lot of different citizens that they may have 3 phones in their house.
Right.
And they go, well, I have 3 phones. I've got one in my den, my living room, my bedroom.
Sure.
And they were thinking they were getting charged for each one of those phones. And we need to really help educate the citizens that it's one line,
Right.
not 3 phones, so they would be assessed at up to $275. So
Right.
that's part of the educational campaign that we're trying to get out to the citizens.
On the same note of that, there's a lot of talk that we see on social media about iPads. Well, I have an iPad,
Yes.
and I can put Skype on my iPad even though it doesn't have phone service. That will not be charged.
Right.
If your device isn't calling 911, it's not costing you that money. And really, when we look at the big picture of this, $275 a month, which is 9 cents a day. What can you get for 9 cents a day?
Right.
Well, this buys a reliable system, peace of mind, upgrades in equipment that is absolutely necessary. There's 9 cents.
Right.
Can't get a cup of coffee with it.
I'm with you.
$275, I can get a big gulp from somewhere.
Really?
Where?
Right. They still sell big gulps?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but you understand the concept of that's a soda at the local gas station.
Right.
Is what we're talking about, to help provide reliable communication to when you or someone you know has an emergency. And it's not a if. Everyone has emergencies that touch them that we all end up relying on.
Sure.
911 in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Whether it's my grandma that I'm worried about, my mom, whether it's my aunt, whether it's my neighbor, we're all relying on this system that we've done a very good job with what we had getting by, and now we need to make the next step to continue to provide a quality service. And it impacts the level of service available when someone gets on a radio and the dispatcher can't hear them.
Yeah, it really does. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
So the ask is there, once again.
Yeah. And there's more to it. I mean, I think when Sean, tell more about when you talk about the education program, it's not just radios.
Right, it's not just radio.
Oh, it's towers, it's infrastructure, it's everything.
Yeah, the computers that the officers use in their cars need to be replaced.
Yep.
There's parts that are no longer available for those. We have capital replacement funding that we're looking at so that in 10 years, when the portables that we're going to purchase with the surcharge funding now need to be replaced, they have an end of life expectancy.
Sure.
So we want to be able to make sure that we have a capital replacement fund. We've got the server room that we talked about before that's too small, that we need to house that equipment, so we've got to make some renovations, and those things all take capital.
Yeah.
It's just
And this
needed.
is all overseen by the state, if I'm not mistaken.
The surcharge funding is required to be audited and submitted to the state every year.
So for those people that are out there going, this is the county just trying another money grab and blah, 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 you're going to be checked at every corner.
Right.
Right, and we're not part of the county,
Right.
we're dispatch authority, so there's no municipality in Muskegon County that has access to our money.
Right.
Central Dispatch is a dispatch authority and has our own funding and budget.
Yeah.
And I think one of the important pieces that probably isn't realized is no singular municipality, police department, fire department could do this on its own.
No.
To replicate the services and what Central Dispatch provides to us in Muskegon County saves each municipality tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Absolutely.
And it makes it a more reliable network that we can interoperably work together because of Central Dispatch.
Right.
And you may have people who think, well, my city, your city's not an island that can just function on its own.
Right.
The money it would cost you in tax dollars for, say, any city to separate off and do their own thing
Right.
would be 10 times as much as what is paid to receive the service as part of the cooperative group.
Right. So it's all of us.
Right.
And it's important.
Absolutely.
And we've been doing this cooperative effort for Central Dispatch since 1970.
Right.
We've been saving, our municipalities have been saving that money
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do that.
It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Don't be the knee-jerk reaction. Don't always just assume that people are out for your money for no good reason, because it's important and it's something we desperately need. I'm going to put the links all right here. You can go back and listen to that video again to hear just the quality that people deal with in this line of work. So you can go back to the beginning of this and listen to it again, or find the 911 Dispatch Facebook page. Learn a little bit more there. Be educated. Learn. Know what's coming and what's needed. And just know that these guys are really only asking because it's essential. And in May, get out and vote and do what you can to make that informed decision and protect our entire community. Chiefs, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sean, always
Thank
a pleasure
you.
to see you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the details are right here on the Muskegon channel.